Some potentially huge news for Canadian forces and the Baltics, as Canada's Military Operations Command is evaluating the feasibility of a permanent base in Latvia. Canadian forces have already been conducting 6-month-long rotations in the Baltic nation since 2017. And so, rather than 6 or 9-month rotations of various units, Canadian soldiers and their families would live in Latvia indefinitely, until the situation allows for a withdrawal. Let's take a look at this news for today's video. Well, according to a December 23rd CBC report, the Canadian military has embarked on a study about how its NATO deployment to Latvia can be realistically sustained into the future. One option? A more permanent basing, at least according to a senior commander. Lieutenant General Steve Poivin, the commander of the Canadian Joint Operations Command, tells the media that they are just beginning the analysis on various possibilities. Thus, recommendations have not yet been made to the Chief of the Defence Staff, let alone the federal government. As we reported earlier this year, Canada has extended its commitment to Latvia until 2029. Canadian troops have been rotating through for nearly a decade now, and so it could be a more cost-effective option as well as an approach that could allow for better training. The general we mentioned earlier was quoted as saying, "We are approaching it from a military point of view, what makes sense based on the commitment that we've made." He adds that two of the factors driving the review include a shortage of troops throughout the military and the challenges of rushing reinforcements into place in an emergency. "We want to make sure that we can sustain this operation, so yes, we're looking at whether it would make sense to permanently base people going forward," he says. As highlighted by CBC, the last time Canada had a permanent military presence in Europe was following the Second World War and during the Cold War. The armed forces maintained 2 bases in West Germany until 1993. Canadian Forces Base, or CFB Lahr, remained open until the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the reunification of Germany eliminated the need for the Canadian forces in Western Europe. The last unit to leave this base was 4 Canadian Mechanized Brigade Group on August 31, 1993, and the base was officially decommissioned and closed a year later on August 31, 1994. CFB Baden-Sullingen closed its airfield on March 31, 1993, and was permanently closed on December 31, 1993. CBC notes that at its peak, the contingent involved over 6,700 military personnel and their dependents, and the bases included housing, schools, hospitals, shopping centers, and recreational facilities. In terms of modern-day permanent deployments, it's essentially the norm for the US military, with permanent bases around the world. Across Europe, there are bases in Germany, Italy, and more. Japan and South Korea are also well-known permanent deployment locations for US troops, but the list is far, far longer. In the Baltics, Germany is the only nation to have officially committed to a permanent deployment. The nation has established its 45 Panzer Brigade in Lithuania with a force of thousands of troops and a few hundred German civilians. Again, the difference with a permanent base is that troops live abroad and raise families abroad. Infrastructure is established to support regular family life. Schools are set up for the children of service members, and education tends to use the curriculum of their home country and not the host country. For example, in late September 2025, Deutsche Schule Vilnius was officially inaugurated. It's a school for children of the German military personnel deployed to serve in Lithuania, as well as preschool and pre-primary education. Strategically, it's been said that more permanent basing could send a stronger signal of deterrence. This is what Daniel Kokkes of the Hudson Institute has asserted. Kokkes is quoted as saying, "NATO can signal resolve within the alliance by increasing its presence in the Baltics. An expanded Allied force presence in the region is not provocative, but a weak posture certainly is." Canadian defense expert Steve Seidemann tells CBC that a more permanent basing system would make it easier on troops and perhaps less expensive, as there would be savings on the expense of moving people around every 6 months or so. Seidemann adds that the rotational system, with 1 contingent of troops training for deployment, 1 on deployment, and a 3rd resting from deployment, means the Canadian Army can do little else other than the Latvia mission. On an operational and even tactical level, troops permanently stationed abroad will hopefully become more familiar with the local culture, local climate, local terrain, and overall the operating environment which they are expected to defend. Latvia would obviously have to be open to the idea, while Canadians and Canadian Forces members would also have to be on board with the concept in order to make it politically palatable. While we don't know for sure, we're guessing that Canadian military decision-makers will be reaching out to their German and Lithuanian counterparts to discuss how things have been going for their permanent presence establishment. But what do you think of this possibility, particularly if you're Latvian? Let us know by leaving a comment.